Okay, today again we're working with a third set of notes, but we're going to be focusing on the last page of these notes, and the goal is going to be more on the simplifying after we factor a polynomial. So this is a continuation of the first set, the first day of this third set of notes. So, for example, this is example A on your notes. Notice we have four terms, so we have a cubic polynomial of four terms over a quadratic trinomial. So we're going to handle the top and the bottom kind of with two different strategies. So at the top of our equation, we're going to kind of pull off to the side and we're going to factor by grouping, which is what we focused on yesterday. So for my boxers, go ahead and fill all four terms in each box. For those of you who group, we're going to go ahead and group. And those of you who do the box, go ahead and do your box, and then when you're done, check to see if you got the same final answer. So for my first binomial, I would pull out an x squared, and I'm left with x minus 5. For my second quantity, I can take out a negative 3, and I'm left with an x minus 5. So from here, the top of my fraction factors to be x squared minus 3 and an x minus 5. So that's the top of our fraction. So now we need to focus on the bottom of our fraction. And notice the bottom of the fraction is just a regular old quadratic trinomial. So to factor this, we do our regular old factoring, and what I mean by that is we multiply a times c, and we find the combination that multiplies to be b. So the combination that we're going to be working with, so we're looking for negative 15, the combination that we're going to use is a negative 5 and a positive 3. And on your worksheet you have a typo, I believe it says negative 3x down there, change that to be a negative 2x. So, for my FOILers, we have x squared minus 5x plus 3x minus 15. For my boxers, you would fill each of the term in each box, find your box, find the outside. I can take an x, and I'm left with x minus 5, and I can take a 3, and I'm left with an x minus 5. So the bottom factors to be x plus 3 and an x minus 5. Last thing you'd have to do is kind of piece all this information together, and I would say, okay, my function is x squared minus 3 times an x minus 5, since that's the top, all over x plus 3 and an x minus 5. So from here, you should notice at this point that I can simplify, and what I mean by that is some terms can cross out. So since I have an x minus 5 on the top, x minus 5 on the bottom, they can cancel, and this would be my final answer. Now the top of the fraction, I cannot do the difference of squares because 3 is not a perfect square. So if it said x squared minus 9, then I could go that one extra step and say x plus 3x minus 3. But since it says x squared minus 3, this is my final answer as far as we can go. So that should help you with letter B. Letter C is a little different. So notice in the top I have a trinomial, bottom I have a polynomial of four terms. So again, we're going to kind of work top and then we'll work with the bottom. So my top, we have a 3x cubed minus 18x squared plus 24x. Now, normally once we're to the third power, we do this whole idea of factoring by grouping, but I need to have four terms to do that. So I can't do factoring by grouping, but instead I can look at all three terms and I can determine that I can take out a GCF of 3x. And if I factor out that 3x, I'm left with x squared minus 6x plus 8. Now this turns into regular old factoring, so the combination that we're working with is what multiplies to be 8, and that's to be negative 6, so it's a negative 2 and a negative 4. So we will have an x squared minus 2x minus 4x plus 8. And again, we group. I can take an x out, an x minus 2. I can take a negative 4 out, and an x minus 2. So this factors down to be x minus 4, x minus 2. And I still have this 3x out front. So that's the top of our fraction. Bottom of the fraction, is factoring by grouping. So again, if you do the box, and you could have done the box for the top, for those of you who do the box, we can do the box on the bottom. I'll do the box since I haven't done one of them recently. I have my x cubed, my minus 4x squared, my minus x, and my 4. And I can take out an x squared for this first row. For this column, I can take out an x. For this column, I can take out a negative 4. For this bottom row, negative 1. So I have an x squared minus 1 and an x minus 4. Now, this one is a difference of squares, so my a is 1 and my b is 1. So this will factor to be x plus 1, x minus 1, and an x minus 4. So with that all being said, I'm going to switch over to that next page. So we have a 3x, an x minus 4, and an x minus 2 for the top, and an x plus 1, x minus 1, and an x minus 4. So that 3x and the x minus 4, x minus 2 over the x plus 1, x minus 1, and x minus 4, we can cancel out the x minus 4s. So my x minus 4s are gone, and our final answer is 3x times the quantity of x minus 2 over x plus 1, x minus 1. So try B and D on your worksheet.